The burnout was so real. I would say that I burnt out probably a few times over the last few years, and that is a signal that you need to change something in your business. If you're burning out, something is not right. I was trying to build a legacy to get time freedom back, not to have to work more. I felt the burnout quite a few times. There was a time where my husband was just so over it because it was Christmas Day and we were with our family, and he was responding to Airbnb messages, and he's like, man, there has to be a better way to do business.
Welcome back to Invest in Rome, the show where we dig deep into how you build wealth, freedom, and adventures by design. I'm Dear Now, and today we've got someone who doesn't just talk about scaling up, she systems up. Our guest today is Amanda Fornelli, real estate investor, co-owner of Yara Palm Springs, and founder of the Systems Academy. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to speak with everyone here.
Okay, so let's start with the end-all answer to everything at the beginning, which is systems. And so can you tell our listeners, what is a system and what does that mean?
Absolutely. Systems are the fundamental of any good business. And it's something that most people tend to ignore. And even in real estate investing, as you scale, it's so critical to implement systems in your business. Systems are effectively putting in different processes, checklists, SOPs, and measures in your business to make sure that you're running as efficiently as possible. And so you're maximizing revenue. Systems actually stands for something which is kind of cool. It's save yourself stress, time, energy, and money. Okay. So if you're able to do all of those things, you can run a more effective business while growing and while also, minimizing the headaches as you scale.
Great acronym. I'm going to have to write that down. You're going to have to text her that to me later. So what was your life? What was your life like before you built all the systems that you have now running your businesses? What was the typical week like for you? And how many hours were you working?
I started investing in late 2019. And by 2022, we were very, very busy with deal flow. We were doing quite a bit on the residential and the commercial side. And I would say we were probably working 60 to 80-hour weeks. We were doing a lot of technician work, right? Doing a lot of admin stuff. We were opening boxes, building out Airbnbs. And I know most of you can probably relate to this, but when you're a real estate investor, it's really hard to turn your brain off. Like you're just constantly like worried about the next deal or whatever it is that you're working on in your current project. But 2022 happened to be the year that my husband and I decided we wanted to start a family. So that was also the year that we realized we needed systems and processes in place because 60 to 80 hours a week was just not going to cut it anymore if we wanted to grow a family and start to spend time with our family. So since then, that's when we really started to implement systems, processes, and hiring and outsourcing, and it's made a huge difference in our business.
And you're also working full time. How do you handle all of it?
We handle it with systems.
Really? I knew you were going to say that.
Well, yeah, I do have a W-2 as well, and we run a few businesses. So systems are even more critical. We also have 2 kids under 2. So systems and scheduling and time management is so important right now, even now more so than ever. So yeah, we really manage it through systems, and I'm not just saying that, but also it's like having a very clear vision and being able to prioritize so that you're able to execute on the things that matter most first and then work your way down the list.
I mean, I can imagine did you feel burnt out? Did you hit a wall? Where did you feel like you were losing the most, was it time? Was it money? Time spent in relationships, before systems were in place?
Yeah, the burnout was so real. I would say that I've burnt out probably a few times over the last few years. And that typically is a signal that you need to change something in your business. If you're burning out, something is not right. I don't know about everyone who's listening, but when I started real estate investing, I was trying to build a legacy to get time freedom back, not to have to work more. So yeah, I mean, I felt the burnout quite a few times. There was a time where my husband was just so over it because it was Christmas Day and we were with our family and he was responding to Airbnb messages. And he's like, man, there has to be a better way to do business. There has to be a better way to either outsource this, or minimize these disruptions, right? So we had to really think about that and how do we avoid burnout? Because business is hard. And if you continue to burn out and you lose that motivation, your likelihood of succeeding gets lower and lower. So burnout is a really important thing to avoid, and systems can help solve for that.
Mm. So was that the first system that you put into place as a result of that? The Airbnb?
Yeah, well, it was one of the first things we addressed. But what we first did in our business when we realized we needed to implement systems to be able to outsource, we started to document everything that we did in our business, right? Documenting means taking the process of everything we did in our business and writing it in the form of SOPs, standard operating procedures, and checklists, and making sure that everything that was in our head for so long was finally down on paper, and that it was a sound plan and it was consistent so that we could eventually outsource. You can't outsource if you don't understand and document your own processes, because you just can't train anyone effectively without them. So that was one of the first things we did in all aspects of our business. Everyone did it in their own department. I did it for acquisitions and our finance departments. And it was a heavy lift. It took me a few months to document everything. But once I did, I felt like I was finally ready or in a good place to start to hire someone to help us out.
Take us through like what does that look like? What does a SOP or standard operating procedure look like? Is that like a one gigantic task list?
I'm glad you asked. So, for those of you that are not familiar with SOPs, a standard operating procedure, think of it as like an instructions manual for a specific task in your business. Now, there's SOPs and there's checklists, and there's different. One is the what and one is the how. Okay. So the what, for example, is let's say how to run a comparative market analysis. Okay, maybe that's the SOP. The SOP is how. So you open Zillow, you open MLS, you go down the line. The what is this the what is like these are the checklist items that you need to complete the comparative market analysis. So they both go hand in hand. The SOP is meant to explain for someone for the very first time how to complete the task, and the checklist supports that so that it's a repetitive process in your business and that you're consistent, you're not making any mistakes, and you're reducing the chances of losing money or losing time.
With these SOPs, like now that you have many of them, how do you use them? Then hire VAs and hand them out? Or do you have like a Bible that you just give your team of SOPs?
I love that you said Bible, right?
Yeah.
We actually have what's called a master SOP directory. Yep. And it's that master SOP directory acts like a Bible. So it's a centralized location where we link all of the SOPs into that spreadsheet or that Google sheet. So any person on our teams can go to that directory, pick the SOP that they're looking for, and it would take them to that folder so they can read the SOP instructions. Yeah, the SOP directory is meant to be a source of truth for everything in your business. So, for example, going back to that Airbnb issue, right? We ended up hiring a team member, virtual assistant, and she's a fantastic part of our team to do Airbnb messaging. So now we have SOPs for every frequently asked question with Airbnb messages. Anytime our VA encounters a question from an Airbnb guest that maybe she doesn't know, she goes to the directory, she looks up the answer, and that boom, she has it right away. She never has to call me. She never has to call my husband unless it's something we haven't encountered before. So that's the power of the SOPs, is you have things documented, and we're not going to be as involved on the minutia of the business, and that's buying our time back to go do more important tasks for our business.
I'm curious now that there's so much AI coming out there, and AI tools. Have you played with AI and SOPs somehow? Maybe like starting to feed your SOPs into AI to help you?
Absolutely. AI is our friend. We use AI all the time with systems. Look, systems are really important. Systems are really a really great way to grow your business, and you can definitely tackle those on your own. But where you can leverage AI, it's going to help you so much. So, for example, SOPs can be made leveraging AI. You can record a video of you performing a task, right? Maybe it's running a deal analysis, and then you grab the transcript. You can put it into your favorite AI tool and tell it to create an SOP based on a template that you give it. An AI tool will take you about 80% of the way, but then, of course, you as a human, it is important for you to review and finalize and tailor that output from the AI to be the best version of that SOP for your business. And then you plug that into your document library. And eventually you can outsource either yourself or you can outsource your VA to manage that SOP, right? If it needs to be updated over time, they can be in charge of that. But for your first SOP and many other documents in your business, definitely leverage AI because we're all about saving time and compressing time so we can do more things that we love, either within our own business or with our family and our friends and in our personal lives.
So how do you know what can be SOP'd or what can be delegated or automated, or is that all the same thing?
Yeah, excellent question. You can create an SOP for almost any task in your business. Okay. Um, when you think about tasks that you need to create SOPs for, just go from start to finish on a task. Or when you do something for your business, maybe that's acquiring a project, write down all the steps that you take for acquiring that project. And every step is pretty much an SOP, right? So you can create SOPs for that. And then you asked about how to know what to automate versus outsource. Technology is amazing. There's so many things that you can automate. I would create, I would automate anything that you possibly can in terms of notifications, right? CRMs are really great for automating notifications, task reminders, that sort of things. When it comes to delegating, look at your time spent in terms of dollar per hour. If you had to take 100 tasks that you perform on any given week, try to bucket them in terms of dollar per hour. So is this task responding to email, is that $10 per hour or is that $100 per hour? I would say that's a $10 per hour task. Is it underwriting a multifamily deal? That's like $1,000 per hour task. When it comes to outsourcing, first outsource those $10 per hour tasks, all those lower level tasks that are not a great use of your time, because then that frees you up to go do more $10,000 per hour tasks that'll really move the needle in your business. Did that help?
Yes. Perfect. So here's a funny question. What is there one system that you tried to do that didn't work out? Like for me, if I were to make an SOP of feeding my 4-year-old breakfast, that SOP would not work out.
You bring up a really good point, dear. When it comes to SOPs, you want to make them generic enough so that it applies to the task, but not so specific to a certain situation, right? SOPs are meant to be a starting guideline, and you can put like if then scenarios, like, hey, this is the standard procedure. If this happens, then this. What I do in our SOP sometimes is if anything deviates from our standard process in the SOP, I say reach out to Amanda Fornelli if anything deviates from our normal approach to XYZ. So you can put some fail safes in there so that you have a fallback plan that you can just discuss for very specific scenarios. Everything with your SOPs and your systems and your processes is a trial and error. And that's why we also teach you to nurture and optimize your systems and check in at least once a month to make sure that they're working, that you don't have any bottlenecks, that they're not wasting money or time. There was one time where we created an SOP and we missed one step. So our VA accidentally emailed like 350
Uh-oh.
some people
No.
because one step missing in our SOP to review the list on our email automation. So There are mistakes that happen. And the great thing about SOPs is that they're living, breathing documents. So when you catch those errors or mistakes, just go in and update it. And it's going to be a constant work in progress, but it's always going to get better and better as long as you keep updating it and you keep checking in with your business.
Okay, so you teach the lean framework. I was looking on your website. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, we have a system for the systems and it's called the Lean Framework because when my husband and I teach systems to folks, what we do is we teach concepts. We'll tell you the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, whatever it is. But what we teach is concepts and we teach you how to think. The Lean Framework is meant to be applied to any part of your business, real estate or otherwise. If you apply this framework, you can thoughtfully systematize your business in a way that you're going to see results very, very fast. The word lean stands for L, lay the foundation, E, establish processes, A, automate and delegate, and then finally the last step is N, which is nurture and optimize. If you apply this framework to any part of your business, you're going to see immediate results within your time, your revenue, and your energy that you're putting into your business.
Are you an engineer in your day job, Amanda?
Do I sound like one?
There's a lot of acronyms in here. After you put all these systems in place, what was your day to day like?
When we first implemented systems in our fix and flip business, we were actually able to hire an acquisitions manager and a project manager. The acquisitions manager would run all of our deal flow, and all I would have to do is review her DocuSign, review the DocuSign for the offer, and that's it, sign it, and out the door. We had a system in place where she was able to make offers, 5 to 7 offers a week for us in the LA market because of the systems and processes and SOPs that we created with minimal oversight. I literally just signed the DocuSign. There were many cases, of course, where we deviated from the standard process and she needed to reach out to me, and then I would get more involved. But that was just a few hours a week. And even in my husband's co-hosting business, he manages other people's rentals. Sometimes he does 1 to 2 hours of work a day because we have such a great team and we have such great documentation in place that allows him to really step back from the day-to-day of the business.
And so how does that look now? Has that freed you up to do now that you have this time?
Have kids, which is really, really crazy to say, but we have two beautiful daughters, both they're under 2 years apart. So that's very, very busy for us. Like I said, I have a W-2 and it allows us to just spend more time with our girls and less time on tasks that don't really provide us a lot of value. And then it allows us to spend the time we do have in our zone of genius, whether that's raising money, talking to clients, networking, going to events. So we really get to choose the things that we love within our business and focus on that while also spending time with our girls.
I wish we could do like a SOP for kids. I wish it was standard operating procedure for my 4-year-old. And then you can hand that playbook off to another parent and be like, just follow these exact steps.
Speaking of SOPs for kids, my husband and I are going on vacation next week and our girls are staying home. So, of course, I wrote like a 4-page document, almost like an instruction manual, like on how to take care of the girls while we're gone. So,
You are one organized parent. Good on you. Good job.
I'm trying my best over here.
Okay, so what would you say is the most important SOP that you have that has given you the most benefit?
Gosh, it's so hard to say, dear, because we probably have
Bible.
maybe over
The
100
Bible.
SOPs. Yeah, we have a whole Bible. My husband alone probably has like 80 or 90 SOPs in our co-hosting business. I have probably 30 or 40 from acquisitions. There's not one single SOP that does this is that important for us. They all together collectively just create this amazing system for us. But I'll give you an example of one that was worth 240,000. And I think I talked about it at the conference that you saw me speak at. But the $240,000 SOP, we call it, what came from an SOP we wrote for an automated email campaign. And it was a general newsletter to our entire email list. A private money lender had ghosted us for a few months, and an automated email went out and she responded out of nowhere and said, I can invest 240,000. So for that reason, that SOP stood out to us like, my goodness, look at what you can do for your business if you spend a few hours of time up front to set up a system and an automation that runs for your business all year long.
That's so awesome. Yeah, because it's like if you set the systems up, then it's the one thing off your chest, right? Like emails are going out, things are working, especially for emails. It's like emails going out weekly, just automation reminders and everything like that. It just frees up your time. What do you say to somebody that was like, well, I don't know how, like, is hesitant to create a SOP because, well, it's just more work to create a SOP.
Say that if you don't pay now, you're going to pay later, because the time that you're spending doing that repetitive, repeatable task over and over and over by yourself is going to chip away at you. It's going to make you burn out eventually. And if you just spend a few hours up front, you're going to see so much more value. My husband found this stat, I think he shared with me. It said for every 45, I think it said if you for every 45 minutes you spend a week like outsourcing a task, or every 45-minute task that you outsource on a weekly basis saves you like 39 hours that year, something along those lines. What could you do with an extra 39 hours in a year for one task? And then what would that do if you did 2 or 3 or 4 of those? All of a sudden, we're talking about several days, several weeks of your time back. That all compounds and that all really starts to impact you, especially as you get older with more responsibilities. Maybe you have a family, maybe you want to travel more. So if you're hesitant, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And if only you spend a little time up front, it will take you a very, very long way.
Yeah, 39 hours, that's like almost a person's work week, like a little less. But can you imagine doing five SOPs and saving yourself like a month of work? That's amazing. I'd be like going on vacation for an entire month. And so let's switch gears a little bit. So you are also co-founder of Yara Palm Springs. I was just looking at your website. It looks like a beautiful, beautiful boutique hotel. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Absolutely. Thank you. Gosh, I love this project. Our team acquired this in 2022. It was a vacant property for many, many years. It's in Palm Springs, California, which for those of you that don't know, it's 2 hours outside of LA, and it's a very popular tourist destination in the desert. We acquired it about 90% renovated, so it was drywall ready. We bought it from another developer. We brought in our vision and we launched it. We opened May of the following year. So we've been open a couple of years now, and it's doing really fantastic. It's Yara Palm Springs on Instagram for anyone who wants to take a look. But this was our first commercial property. It was a ton of work, and we're just so proud of it. It's really our baby, and we put so much thought into the design and into the guest experience. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We're really, really happy with it. And if you take a look, you'll see that it has a very much a Mediterranean feel to it, which is what we were aiming for, is to bring the Mediterranean to Palm Springs in the middle of the desert.
Oh, beautiful. That was your vision, to bring the Mediterranean over. That's awesome. Is it like Greek vibes? No.
Yes, and a little bit of a Bolognese feel.
Oh, very global. Amazing. I can't wait to stay there one day. All right. So what's the next system that is on your plate to build?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, so my husband and I are now going to start investing out of state for the first time. We're going to be doing fix and flips, and we're going to create a system to process leads. So what we do is something called a property lead pipeline, and we create this lead pipeline to effectively manage and process leads so we can close on more deals.
Ooh, awesome. Can I ask where out of state?
Yes, we're doing the state of Georgia for now and maybe elsewhere, but starting there.
Awesome. And you're going to be doing it remotely from where you are in California.
Yes, we're actually going to be leveraging a team that we have on the boots on the ground. So it's hopefully minimal oversight from us.
Nice, nice. Okay, so for investors listening out there who are working 60 to 80 hours a week, what are the first actions they can take starting Monday morning to get started working on the SOPs, start scaling?
One of the first things that we teach people is get organized. And it sounds so simple, but getting organized is going to let you get into the next steps of systematizing your business. So, one of the first things that we teach is create your departments. You may think you don't need departments for your real estate investing business, but you do because that allows you to get organized and then eventually document your processes and eventually plug someone in that you can hire. So, first things first, create your departments, right? An example of a department is your marketing. An example of another department is acquisitions. There's disposition, project management, right? Create your departments for your business because that's going to the next step is to allow you to create roles and responsibilities within each department. That's one easy thing that you can do before you start creating SOPs for each department. Just outline what those are for you. It would take only a few minutes and it would go a very, very long way in your business.
Good tip, good tip. And last question, if you could send a voice note to yourself 5 years ago before you were burnt out, what would you say? And what would you
Oh
want
my
yourself?
Oh my goodness, this is such a good question. I don't think I've been asked this, but I would probably say start systems right away because if only I knew what systems could do for our business sooner, I feel like we would have been in an even better place than we are now. So I would have told myself, start doing this a lot sooner and you can scale so much more faster and not have to spend so much time, those 60 to 80-hour weeks and burning out so much. I totally would have told myself that from day one of investing if I could.
Amazing. Awesome. All right. Well, where can our listeners find you and reach out to you? Where can they learn more about the Systems Academy?
Yeah, I am on Instagram. I'm very active there. Underscore Amanda Fornelli underscore. And you can learn more about myself and my husband, which is my business partner, and the Systems Academy in my link in bio. There's a few things you can go there. You can access there. The Systems Academy is there. If you're interested in learning more about it, shoot me a DM. I'm happy to jump on a call with you and talk to you about what it is that we have to offer. But otherwise, reach out and say hello. I'd love to chat with you and hear about what questions you have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. To listeners, if you're grinding yourself out, hit the link down below in the show notes for Amanda's Systems Academy. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time.
Thank you.
For joining today's episode of Invest in Rome. If you found value in this episode, please share it with a friend. New episodes dropping weekly. Like, follow, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Dear No. Keep investing, keep roaming, and keep living the life you deserve.